Hello everyone, this is Dan once again, and this is a little video about the takedown and disassembly and reassembly of the Sig Pro 2022. And this goes for the Sig Pro series as well. The takedown of these guys is exactly the same. Reassembly is exactly the same. Only difference is, of course, there's one that's chambered in a 40 caliber. This particular one is chambered in a 9mm, and some of the finishing details on the Sig Pros are different. That's one thing that you'll notice with this particular series. Each year, Sig tends to improve it, and it just becomes better. Add some more safety features to it. Add some things that just help the gun overall in appearance and function. So we're going to do a quick safety check. Drop the magazine. Rack the slide here. And we are empty. Physically inspect the chamber. And we're good to go. So first, let's start off with talking about the controls. Here you have your mag release. Right here you have your decocker, which is a very useful tool. This will allow you to decock your weapon without any fear of discharge. And right here is your is your slide release and your takedown lever. This is a very utilitarian design. Sig incorporated all into once. The design is very well. You do not have to worry about this takedown lever being actuated in actual use of this particular weapon. It's pretty much impossible. It just isn't going to happen. So, in my opinion, definitely a good design. It is a little quirky when it comes to disassembly. You do have to kind of find a method that really works for you, and that's why I decided to do this video. There's not a lot out there about it, so I thought this would help. And also, just as a little side note, I have a Sig light attached to this particular pistol, so this does not come with most Sig Pros, but in some boxes it does. I'll actually cover that in my tabletop review of this particular pistol. But here we go. So if you're familiar with Glocks, I recommend having kind of a Glock grip on this when you're trying to disassemble it. On the other side, there's a little pin that you have to push through, and that will basically disengage the the slide release. So if you would rack the slide back and then hold it with pretty much a Glock type grip for disassembly, and most of you guys are familiar with that, it'll actually come in from this back side here and push this pin through. It takes a little bit of effort, especially if you have a newer gun like I do. So you might have to put a little bit of elbow grease into it to pop it out, but it will eventually come out. And here we go here. Take it off screen a little bit so I can put a little bit more mustard on it. And there we go. So push that out, and then you can just pull it right out of the little slot there. Then we'll just set that aside. And no pull of the trigger is required to release the slide from the frame assembly, so you can just pull that right on off. And you have your grip. And you have your slide. Another note is I actually added a additional feature to this particular pistol. When you receive it, it comes with a polymer guide rod, and I switched that out with a stainless steel guide rod. And you just depress that down, and there you go. You have your guide rod, which, as I mentioned, this is not a factory guide rod. That is an aftermarket guide rod that I purchased from guiderods.com. If you have a Sig or any other pistol that needs a stainless steel guide rod, I highly recommend going to this site. Class act, just a wonderful operation. And here's your recoil spring. On the 9mm version, the recoil spring is silver, and on the 40 version, on the 40 version, the guide rod, the recoil spring is blue. So just something to keep in mind, and also something to keep in mind when it comes time to start replacing the springs on this. You want to make sure you get the right one. Here's the barrel, 3-inch barrel there, 3.5-inch barrel, and there's the slide. So we have our basic components right here. Stand that up there. Doesn't quite want to cooperate with me there. So this is your basic components right here. Very simple, very easy to take this pistol down. Now on reassembly, just do it in reverse order. Take your barrel, just slide it right on in there. The barrel will lock. Put the recoil spring back on the guide rod and just slide that right back in there. And there, as you notice, there's a little dimple right here. There's a little notch on the end of this guide rod here. And it actually fits right into the notch on your barrel. Anybody familiar with SIGs know that most SIGs do have that type of feature. So it locks the guide rod into nice position. So you don't have to worry about it jiggling around inside of your weapon there. So you just want to push it in until you feel it lock. There you go, it locked. And then you'll just slide put the slide back on the frame. Now here's the tricky part also. You have to realign this with the hole on the inside. So what I recommend is just pulling the slide back slightly and then dropping the barrel. So once the barrel drops, it'll also slide forward. So bring it on back and then line that hole up. I'm not sure if you can see that well, but there's a couple of holes in there, so you just want to make sure. And I have this locked up here. Alrighty. So let's try that again. So let's line that hole up. Drop the barrel, line that hole up. As I mentioned, it can be a little quirky sometimes, but it's definitely worth it. So we're going to line that hole up and then put the takedown lever back in as such. Make sure this top bar is lined up as well, and then give it a firm push, and then you're done. Rack the slide a couple times, and we have a fully functioning Sig Pro 2022. I hope this helps you guys out there, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'll be glad to help. Have a good day, guys.